Are Germans actually mean or just misunderstood? Hey guys, and welcome back to our channel. I am Donnie, and along with my wife Aubrey, we are two Americans currently living in Germany with our baby, sharing all of our experiences living and traveling throughout Europe. Whether you agree with it or not, Germans do have a specific reputation around the world. In 2012, Forbes reported on an online survey conducted by Skyscanner in which they found that Germany ranked as the 4th rudest country in the world according to tourists. But as we've discussed over the last 4 years of living in Germany, stereotypes are typically overgeneralizations, or as Forbes wrote in their report, some of the perceived rudeness may be attributable to cultural differences rather than anything intentional. In fact, nearly every day we experience ways in which German culture is different than American culture, and that things Germans do and are considered normal and acceptable social behavior would be considered rude in the United States. And that's exactly what I'm going to talk about today in my video. A different world view, or just socially rude? First off, I have to say that we are originally from a southern state in the US called Oklahoma and now live in the southwestern German state of Rheinland-Pfalz. So some of these things are going to be more specific to these two places we have lived and are not representative of the two countries as a whole. So if you have other life experiences based on where you live, be sure to leave those thoughts in the comments below. How often do you smile in a day? According to the Telegraph in 2017, 1 in 3 Germans laugh less than 5 times a day. Meanwhile, according to one study I found, Americans on average laugh 8 times a day. In general, besides laughing, Germans seem to simply just smile a lot less than Americans, often leading friends or family visiting to ask us if Germans are always so unfriendly and rude.
Excuse me, Miss Plank. Miss Plank?
Yes?
Hi. A frowny face stamp. I didn't know they made those.
I had to special order it from Germany. May I help you?
An American professor teaching in Germany once wrote, "Whereas my students in the US would smile and nod as I lectured, giving me a visual gauge to follow so I would know when I lost them, in Germany, week after week, my students stared at me stone-faced through an hour-long lecture. When I finally stopped to ask if they were having trouble following, one of the students assured me their collective lack of smile was a gesture of respect." And this is a great example of how a cultural difference in nonverbal communication leads to a confusion of intention that we experience nearly every day. And smiling for Americans is not restricted obviously to the classroom. In general, Americans smile everywhere, and it is an important part of American culture. One popular theory as to why, based on data from researchers, is that it comes down to how much immigration and cultural diversity a country or culture has experienced. Where people from different places have come together without a common language or culture, they've had to use the smile as a way of expressing good intentions, which, based on what we experience in the US and in Germany in this regard, makes sense considering American culture is founded on a big melting pot of immigrants, unlike Germany being a relatively new immigrant nation, but maybe not enough yet to develop or change the grinning landscape of this nation. Now, on the flip side of this issue, we have heard time and time again, or even read in our comments, that the amount of smiling that Americans do is often perceived as fake, creepy, or even as if one is a used car salesman based on German cultural norms. No offense if you're actually a used car salesman. Their words, not mine. In fact, this is one reason why the American giant Walmart wasn't able to make it in Germany.
But when Walmart opened stores in Germany, it had to tell its sales clerks to stop smiling at customers because some people saw it as flirting.
When one comes to Germany for the first time and Germans smile, but not nearly as much as what you are used to, you can get the wrong impression that everybody is just, well, rude maybe. Service with a smile.
Sincere service with a smile.
That is a motto very famous in the US that, as you can tell from our last section, isn't so famous in Germany. But it's not just that you don't see those beaming whites from service personnel in Germany, it's just that, well, Germany is famous for its Servicewüste. Yep, Germany is quite famous for having a Servicewüste, which would directly translate as a service desert. Except this is a very unique desert because rather than being warm, customer service in Deutschland can be decidedly frigid.
Das heißt, Deutsche haben ein Selbstverständnis davon, dass ihr Service schlecht ist und dass in Deutschland es viele Unternehmen gibt und auch öffentliche Einrichtungen, die einfach nicht so serviceorientiert sind. Serviceorientiert heißt, die sind nicht unbedingt immer freundlich. Und das habe ich selber schon so oft erlebt. Und ich glaube, wenn man als Ausländer hier hinkommt und aus einem Land kommt, in dem die Menschen also mehr Service haben, freundlicher sind, ich glaube, dann hat man einen ganz großen Schock hier.
Ja, also insbesondere US-Amerikaner.
In the US, especially in Oklahoma where we come from, we are used to the customer is always right attitudes and businesses bending almost backwards to help you find what you were looking for. However, in Germany, we have found quite the opposite. In general, in Germany, service doesn't go out of their way to help unless you very specifically ask for it. And even then, they will generally do the bare minimum to get what you need.
Ich war im Supermarkt und jemand, das klingt jetzt für euch ganz normal und ganz simpel und ganz trivial, aber jemand hat gesagt, hey, can I help you? Das gibt's in Deutschland nicht.
I think a German would tell you this is more about efficiency, which is what they will often tell you is the reason for most things they do, but it is often perceived as very rude service according to other cultural norms surrounding service. Of course, again, there is a flip side, and as the Spiegel put it, American-style friendliness is, after all, often equated with extreme superficiality by Germans. Treating customers as an unwelcome intrusion on an otherwise perfectly fine day in the shop is the norm. Now, you can say what you want about these two different cultures surrounding service, but I can actually see pros and cons to both. I personally really can appreciate the fact that I know when I go into an American store, someone will help me find what I'm looking for, do it quickly, and do what they can to make it a pleasant experience. But I do appreciate how at, for example, German restaurants, waiters aren't constantly interrupting you to see if you need anything because they take a much more hands-off approach. Germans are very helpful and will make sure that you learn how to integrate into German society, whether it be by teaching you how to recycle properly, how to properly eat a Weisswurst, or which beer should be poured in which proper beer glass. I'll admit this is something that can be truly a very helpful thing, and especially for people just moving to Germany trying to learn the German way, but maybe as you can see, I'm addressing this issue as a typical American by beating around the bush before I finally say, this may eventually start to wear some people down. If you move to Germany, one thing you will quickly learn is that Germans have a tendency where they love to give you advice and teach you how to do things without you ever asking for it. In the US, giving unsolicited advice is considered very rude and very much looked down upon. Now, confusingly, Germans seem to know this is a negative trait they have and even gave people who do this a special word called Besserwissers. You may truly be doing things that there is no right or wrong way, but to a German, they must tell you how to do it properly. Or you may know there's a better way of doing something specific, but you choose to do it a different way for whatever personal reason you have, and you'll be minding your own business when out of nowhere, a German may come to correct you even though what you're doing doesn't affect them at all. Over the years, and after discussing this with many other foreigners who have also experienced the same German cultural norm, we have learned it is better to just smile and accept the advice and let them have their moment of satisfaction rather than questioning them because they truly do have good intentions. At least for the most part, we think they do. Germans definitely are significantly more direct than Americans, just like how in the last section I had to talk about the possible pros to Besserwissers in Germany before I delicately vented my frustration with it. Unlike for a German, that section would have taken 2 seconds. Hallo zusammen und willkommen back to my channel. It annoys me that Americans don't take my advice. Thanks for watching. Now, one thing Aubrey and I talk about all the time is how much we love and appreciate our German friends' directness when it comes to making plans. So, for example, make a plan with an American and you will spend half the time discussing what you want to do, or too much thought will be given into not wanting to step on toes by saying what you actually want to do, and you end up doing something that you don't want to do.
We were just about to grab dinner. You guys want to join us?
What's that?
I said, you guys want to go to dinner? How's that?
If you guys don't want to, it's fine.
No.
Are you saying no?
You know what? Sure, why not?
All right, great.
Yeah.
We'll meet you out front, 15, I'll drive.
Or you will ask someone directly if they want to do something and they will respond with a maybe, as they don't want to commit to something, or maybe they don't really want to do something, but they don't have a good excuse yet to get out of it, and for some reason in many parts of American culture, it isn't acceptable to just say, actually, I don't want to do that, without thinking you will offend someone. For our German friends though, they will just straight up tell you, I don't want to do this, or I don't want to do that. And it is actually amazing. Seriously, we have come to appreciate this aspect of German directness, but there is a time and a place for directness with Americans. One of the most commented on aspects to life in Germany that we hear every time someone comes and visits us is, boy, have Germans not learned about the dangers of smoking yet? Because one of the next rude things that Germans do compared to American cultural norms is lighting up and smoking right next to non-smokers, forcing them to breathe the same smoky air. Now, I'll be honest and say this one is a surprising one for me considering other cultural German norms we've come across in Germany. Germany is chock full of rules and laws to ensure the comfort of all that for Americans sometimes feel a little excessive. You can't mow on Sundays so that you don't disturb the peace and quiet for your neighbors. Car washes are closed on holidays again so the noise doesn't disturb the peace. Or even more ironically, earlier this year, a man in Bavaria successfully sued his neighbor for grilling too much, and a court ordered the neighbor to only grill 4 times a month and never on 2 consecutive days because of the smell and smoke. Yet, in Germany, go to any restaurant, sit outside, and you will most likely have multiple people light up a cigarette around you, and you are forced to sit in a haze of smoke getting hotboxed with everybody else in the area. In the US, smoking is definitely declining, from 20.9% of adults smoking in 2005 to only 11.5% in 2021. This was also true for Germany until last year. In particular for young people, in the US, only 5.3% of adults from 18 to 24 smoked cigarettes, and 14.1% used nicotine-containing vapes, whereas the same age group in Germany, 40.8% smoke or use e-cigarettes. With the sheer higher rate of smoking in Germany, you are often confronted with it in public simply way more than you ever would be in the US, and even if you did, it is fairly rare that somebody in the US would light up around you because that is considered very rude, or because the actual places you are able to smoke freely has become so restricted that smokers often have to go to special places to smoke, often not the case in Germany. For example, we just recently went to a professional soccer game in Germany, and in the stadium, people were lighting up cigarettes all around us, and the stands were so packed you couldn't easily get out to get away from the wafting smoke, whereas in the US, smoking isn't allowed generally, even in outdoor stadiums, but if it is allowed, it is only allowed in designated smoking areas, not in the stands where others would be forced to breathe the same air. But I would be interested in knowing from our German audience, do you also find it rude when someone lights up a cigarette right next to you, or does it truly not bother you? Again, the main takeaway from our time living abroad is that it is easy to quickly say a culture is rude or fake if you compare it to your cultural norms and don't consider the fact that they simply have different cultural norms. But that's something that needs to be taken into consideration. To see who made it this far into the video, the random question of the week is cake or ice cream? Which would you rather eat? Thanks so much for watching, guys. Be sure to hit those like and subscribe buttons, and I will see you in our next video. Stereotypes are typically overgeneralizations. Thanks for watching. Now, I'll be honest and say this one is a surprising one. Gosh.